Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray. Thanks for coming to Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, the hostess, maybe the mostest, I don't know. But today I've got a special guest on here. It's not just a friend of mine. He's also probably not hard to say here. I mean, it's not a secret that I coach his business a little bit too. But he is Steve Orandello with Hozio, and he's out of New York City. I'm going to give you a little, before I bring him on here, I'm going to give you a little, if you're on YouTube, you can see him. But before I allow him to speak, I'm going to give you a little rundown about what his story really is in the marketing thing. So when I met him, he was referred to me. So this is big when if you're a company listening to and you're like questioning your SEO and all your marketing. I was at the time questioning it had no like and trust of any marketing company, none, zero. You pull my microphone a little closer. So I had no trust in these companies. They're all even if they're good, they lie to you all the time. They scam you. They take money for work not being done. They put you in contracts you can't get out of. All this crazy stuff, right? And so everybody's always scratching their head when they go to switch marketing companies or they're wondering how do they get ahead. Well, I was referred to them by Bobby and Sherwood at Ageless Chimney, and I could see their rankings. I've been coaching them for a while, over a year at that time. And I could see where they were going on their digital footprint, and I could see it was good. And so I didn't even ask them. We were just talking one day, and we were going through their marketing a little bit, and Bobby goes, "You need to meet Steve." And by the way, this was during the election shit, and Steve's a big Trumper, I'm a big Trumper, and all this stuff. And so I was, like-minded people, obviously. And so I'm sorry if you're not a Trumper, and I don't talk much about it on the podcast, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry I am what I am. But so they had something in common. So I got on the phone with Steve. I think Steve, when he comes on, will nod, or he can even nod while he's looking at me. We hit it off personally right away. I mean, there was a connection. Boom. So I started reading into it and listening to what he said he was doing for marketing, which, because I have the background of doing my own, I kind of knew what needed to be done, and I knew what the questions to ask, although there's always stuff you don't exactly know what to do or you can't do. So that's where Steve perked up the interest, and I literally signed up that day. So with no further ado, Steve, how you doing?
Doing well, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing well, as we just discussed before. So I told them how I met you. So give us your background. I mean, if you don't mind, tell the great story of your life. Just in an elevator pitch, just with a little bit more than an elevator. Let's just say we're going up 100 stories, not 5 stories. Tell us a little bit about Steve.
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started out back in the late 80s. As a stockbroker. Lasted a few years. After I got out of stocks, went into mortgages. Mortgages did phenomenal. Then all of a sudden you had the crash come up. So the reason I got involved into even Hozio, and we built Hozio, is my partner at the time. I had telemarketers, Chad. Literally, I had probably about 60 to 70 guys in my room working for me. At that period of time, if you deal with, we both deal with a lot of people, like a lot of employees. So you're dealing with each one of those personalities, their problems, their successes, dealing with all that stuff. They were telemarketing. Their job was to get me leads. Once I got the lead, I had to convince that lead they actually needed a mortgage. It was like a whole rigmarole. When the market was going down, my partner's like, "Yo, let's build a website." I didn't know much about it at the time. I'm like, "All right, let's build a website." I'm telling you, it was like night and day. When somebody went on the website, they needed a mortgage. I just basically seen if I could do the mortgage for them. If I could do it, it was great. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. If I couldn't, I passed it on. So it wasn't like that whole rigmarole where I had it. got a telemarketer, paying all that. Then all of a sudden got the lead. Then I had to convince the lead. It just cut everything out, cut the middleman out. Then all of a sudden we were just killing it like that. The market crushed. We decided
We're talking 2008 here, roughly, right?
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah.
So when the market went down, I have a family. I have 2 kids, a wife, a stay-at-home wife. So we were like, what are we going to do? Everything dried up. We said, well, let's do this marketing. I'm like, we're doing well for ourselves. Why can't we do better for other companies? And everyone says like, oh, you're an overnight success. It wasn't overnight. Like, honestly, it's like everyone, when you're doing good, people are like, oh yeah, you just, and I'm like, oh my God, you don't know the heartache of like starting a company, doing right and wrongs and figuring things out along the way. So basically what we did was at that point, started Hozio. We figured out how to get companies listed on Google the same way we did for ourselves. Now, when I was doing it for the mortgages, I was doing pay-per-click. That's really all that was out there. We didn't know much about search engine optimization. Pay-per-click is great. It's it's unbelievable because how well you do on it.
Absolutely.
The only thing with pay-per-click is if you stop running your ad, what happens?
Goes away.
With the organic, you're there 24/7. So we figured out a way of getting them up organically. We figured out the map pack, how to get them in the 3, you see how phenomenal it is in yours. That map pack kills it because it's the paid, map pack, and then organic. So that's really my spiel right now.
Well, there's a little more to it, but I mean, yeah, exactly. First of all, just to talk real quickly about that little phrase you said, overnight success, how people think it's like that. It's so funny how good systems and good companies make it look so easy. And then like when you have someone go out and start their own business, even if they have your systems and stuff and how they fail at times, just because they're not you as well. There is the factor of being you. And then the overnight success is a 15-year story. Yeah. Overnight's 15 years, right? And so, it's one of those things that that if it looks easy, then it must be easy. But the funny thing about it is getting it to be easy could be the hardest freaking thing you did for I don't know how many years, right? And so, I mean, for instance, so like I'm in your ad and you're about to be in my ad about our successes with each other. So like I had a keyword that I was up your ass for a year to get me on page 1. And I mean, literally, listen to the client, and Steve listens to his clients. He still is an SEO guy. You guys gotta realize this. So I still had to pound into his head a little bit that, hey, I don't give a shit about all the stuff you're doing. I'm your customer. Get me on page 1 with Houston Chimney Sweep or Chimney Sweep Houston. And by God, it took him a year to get there because for some reason Google doesn't like me in that keyword, but I'm there now. And I was never there before. And I mean, I have paid, and this is not a joke. I mean, having a large marketing budget, I probably paid $150,000 to other companies to get it there, maybe more over the last 20 years. And I've never been page 1. I was the king of page 2. It's like Google said, yeah, the relevancy for you in Houston is only top of page 2. And I mean, we would do so much stuff to get it to go, and it just never would. Well, Steve got it there. Took him some work,
but it's also, I own the company, and you've met my guys, Chad. You worked with them, even when we're doing the coaching. Yep. You speak to the guys. I give all the credit to really my guys, these young kids, the research they actually do and the stuff they figure out. It's mind blowing. Like I could manage it. I'm like the head guy. I could motivate them. I could tell them what to do, but it's really up to them. And to give you a little plug, at the end of the day, it's not even a plug. It's the God honest truth. When you started coaching me, it was like 2 years ago, right? Maybe a little bit more than 2 years ago. Man, I kept on hitting freaking stumbling blocks. I didn't know where I was going. Like my revenue went from less than $100,000 a month to almost $500,000 a month right now. And it's the ideas that you gave me. It wasn't like you just sprinkled some dust on it and be like, oh, this is what you just got me to think, really. And that's why I say outside the box. Like, you literally got me to think of ways that I was like, I knew it was there, but I never even thought of doing it. You're like, try it, Steve. Do it.
Well, I mean, that's it. Mindset first. So like right now I hired a company to help me market my stuff. And so I had to make a little native video for them. And it's a 2-minute video that they would send to somebody who might be interested in having me coach them. And right now we're going after marketing agencies and different kind of agencies that do that kind of stuff. And what I said, but my native video really has nothing to do with who I was going after, because I left it to where what exactly I do. There's 3 things you have to do if you want to grow your company, scale your company. It doesn't matter who you are. Number 1 is you got to upgrade your systems. The systems you got where you are today are not going to get you to the next thing. Number 2, your mindset. You have to believe. Now, hear me out, people. You have to believe that you can achieve things that you don't think possible right now. Think about what I just said. You have to start expanding your mind to believe you can do things that aren't possible in your head right now. And number 3 is you got to get yourself in trouble. My logo, my slogan. You got to implement and start doing stuff that's outside of your comfort zone. And when you do that, all of a sudden, things start coming together. And you've done all 3 things. Steve has done all 3 things with this business. So, I mean, is it a plug for me? So let's get back to Steve and marketing. So with marketing, what I teach my clients that need to get in, change their marketing. The thing is this: you don't need to know how to SEO. You don't even need to know how to blog, but you as a business owner need to know what to ask people like Steve, right? So, I mean, you got to know, okay, so if you're like, I have a company right now I'm coaching. I was even on the phone with their marketing people last week on Thursday, and you could definitely tell these people were freaked out. They were told this other marketing company was completely freaked that I'm on the phone asking the questions. And of course, what are they doing? She's like taking notes, hits record to show her boss what's good. I'm like, listen, lady, I'm not against you. I'm on your side here. Okay. You have a contract with my client. He's going to honor his contract. But we want to make sure that you're doing what your contract says. So I'm just simply asking, where's your 3 blogs that you're supposed to do every month in the last 6 months? Where are they? Okay. All right. All right. So you haven't done that. So, I mean, okay. So next question is where are the links that you said you provide? Now she showed me that. So I was like, cool. I saw that. I saw the links, which I already knew the links. I already pulled her. Being that I know how to do stuff, I pulled on SEMrush. I put him into SEMrush, and I saw how when the links came in the last. They promised to do, I believe it was 100 links in 6 months. Well, guess what they did? They did 100 links in 1 day. And I'm like, that's not good, you know. But anyway, I knew. So here I am. What she thinks I'm grilling, I'm just trying to hold her to her contract, you know. And so to ask you, Steve, I mean, what are some good questions that someone who's going to hire a marketing company would ask you?
Well, first off, you want to find out, make sure that you own everything. Like when I'm doing search engine optimization and I'm doing it, I build landing pages, and you see them, like you're saying, you're showing up for Houston Chimney Sweep. I literally build out a landing page with unique content, localized links. We embed the Google My Business map in there, and it's a solid foundation. So like Harris County, when we first started out with you, like, I don't need those BS towns. I just need the towns where the huge population is. So what we do is we build a foundation. Each individual town you're in, each individual keyword, we write all that content. We put that into your website where you own everything. And that's really, like my father always said to me, Steve, if you're looking to build a house, you need a solid foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, you can never build levels on top of it. It'll just keep on crushing. So what I do for most of my customers, well, not most, all of them that does the SEO with me, we build a foundation. I build all these pages on their website. So if you're going with another company, make sure they're not just giving you a lead gen that all of a sudden you cancel with them and they just sell it to the next guy, because you're just helping out this guy, you know, the SEO guy, because it's not helping you out. You want to own everything.
Right.
Once I do the search engine optimization, like you were talking about the links, right? 100 links in a day. I would 99% guarantee they're spam links. It's not unique, relevant, high domain authority websites. So people, just so you understand, this is like my sales pitch when I tell people, like domain authority, like it's the credibility of the website, the authority of the website. Like everyone heard Elon Musk is buying out Twitter, they're not buying out Twitter or whatever he's doing, but he's a billionaire. He has a ton of credibility between us because he's the richest man in the world. I'll listen to him. I'm like, I ain't there. So Google doesn't have that. They're bots. They're not a person. So their bots crawl websites to see what they're at. The little difference that we do at Hozio, over the last 15 years when I started the company, what I've been doing is a company goes out of business for whatever reason, they're out of business, but their domain still has a ton of credibility. They let their domain expire. What I do is I purchase it. Now it's a unique domain, Chad. It's not like the ones that you're talking about with 100 domains. This is a unique domain. I put it up in the sky. I don't have 100 different customers on it. I might have 2 or 3 customers, direct links pointing to all this content that I wrote. Now, when Google looks at that website, they're going to be like, who the heck is this guy Masters Chimneys? They're going to crawl. They're going to look at your website. They're going to see all that unique content, all those localized links, and then you start moving up. So it's an expensive process because I have to have each one on its own separate server. I had its own DNS records, aged IP addresses, but it works. And my main goal, like I don't have contracts. So I need to show people the value. As long as they see the value, and the value comes at first, just seeing your rankings coming. Second, you start seeing the phone calls and the forms getting filled. So it's like a process, but you really want to make sure if people are doing that, they're not giving you, because you could get links and they could be all spam links and you could be hurting yourself. Then you have to go to Google, you got to disavow them and you got to get them off, and there's extra work on it. So you want to get the right setup to work for you. Secondly, I don't think anyone should charge contracts. I don't think a contract should be part of the equation anymore. The proof's in the pudding. You're from Texas, a show me kind of state, right? So show me. If you're good, like you
That's
do
actually
it
Missouri.
Years.
That's Missouri.
Oh, that's Missouri?
Big in Texas.
What the hell? I'm a stupid New Yorker.
Ours is everything's big in Texas. So.
But the proof's in the pudding. If you do well, people want to stay with you. I have literally, you see how many customers we have, I got 600 customers that have all ranking on Google. And it's a network, and none of them are locked in. They all come and go as they please.
Right. So what me and you worked on in your business, and we do talk about the coaching here because it will help everyone kind of understand us as clients, the customers, us, the businesses that hire SEO companies. What do we want to see? We want to see something happening. What am I paying for? I mean, it's literally until the phone rings, I'm buying insurance because I don't see anything. Nothing's happening. It's a unicorn scenario. It's like I'm paying for it, but there's nothing to show me. So what Steve and I worked on, because I was frustrated, and not that I'd ever question the integrity of Hozio or anything, but it's like I need to see what the hell I'm paying for. And this is what I hate about SEO companies, because what are they did this last Thursday before they got on with me with my other client. What did they do? They took him to his Google Analytics and just fucking went crazy on the analytics and said, see, it's like, okay, that doesn't show me shit. I mean, you think it does, but it's like talking over a client, right? So what did Steve do? What we came up with is a reporting thing that actually shows a snapshot of where you started and where you are today. Right? We did that, right? And we're still adding to that to show people. It's like, so what we've done is we've taken Steve's retention and like killed it. I mean, not retention, drop percentage, whatever. People
it really is retention. My retention rate went up so much higher because look, dealing with so many customers, it's only me and John as the sales guys, and I have the 35 guys that work here. They're all techs. So how am I supposed to be in touch with all these people? And that's what you were saying. Look, show them. As long as they see what's going on. And you know what, man, 1,000,000%. It was one of the best decisions we did. It cost a lot to buy the program, to do the stuff, but at the end of the day, it's my business. And I want this thing to be around forever. So you got to invest in it to, take a step back to hopefully take 2 forward.
Let me ask you, everyone listening. So right now you're probably driving in your van or your truck or or maybe you're working out. When was the last time your marketing company called you and asked you something or alerted you to something? Hozio calls me twice a week. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, it's literally, that's the kind of, and I'm not trying to plug them. I mean, of course we are, but I'm just saying, if your company's not calling you, they're not doing shit. They're collecting your money. They might throw a blog, hire someone every few months. And this is what I know. I know what people are doing. And here's what you look at when you hire. This is your mainstream marketing agency, what they do for you. The run of the mill. Now there are good ones. So I'm not calling anyone that I know. I'm just saying this is what most people have. So you pay them what, $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 up front. Typically they'll build your website or build out your AdWords, or they'll do something. They'll do some extensive work for 2 or 3 months, right? They'll even do some linking. They'll maybe do a blog or two. Then they're done. They might touch your website every 3 or 4 months and do very, very minimal. That's what they mostly do. Most of Steve's competitors, that's what they do. They just collect your money. I promise you, that's all they do. Because when you go to pull up, if you get SEMrush, you can get a very low version of SEMrush, or you can even do the free stuff. See when the link was added to your website. If they say they're adding, 5 links a month, you can check that. They should be able to provide that for you. But if you want to go outside the business box and look yourself, SEMrush will show you. They'll show you the date when they were added. And right there's that. Okay, if the same company that I dealt with last week supposed to write blogs for them, hadn't been a blog written in a year. Supposed to write 3 blogs a month, no blogs, and he's in a contract till next month. Well, yeah, October, so 2 more months. And it's like, I'm like, I'm not telling you to break your contract but I will tell you this. I can clearly see that if you wanted to, they're not coming after you because they can't prove shit they've done for you except for buy links. They haven't done anything. And they built his website, which, by the way, crappy website. And so anyway, but this is typical. I'm not calling out just one company I coach for. I can tell you right now, small businesses under $1 million that do $1 million, they typically aren't doing what I call the 3-pack. They're not doing AdWords, GMB, and SEO to grow their business. They've picked one of them and done it. And typically they hate AdWords because they don't know how to use it. They have someone else doing it and it's an autopilot. Okay, Damon yells at me all the time, stop moving your budget around. It's like, it's my fucking account. I'm going to move my budget around when I want. By the way, Damon is Steve's one of his his main AdWords guru. And so, but by the way, Steve, I'm putting this on record. He needs to switch over to the master services links like he said he'd do.
He didn't. Yeah, I apologize. We're just like a little overwhelmed.
I know. You don't apologize.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Tell him it's on a podcast now.
All right.
So anyway, no, but seriously, Damon's called me. I can name 10 guys at Steve's company that's called me. But anyway, get back to the 3-pack. So what do these businesses do? They pick something like, oh, I got it in the G-Pack. Okay. And then they're done. And then they don't do SEO and they don't do AdWords. If they get AdWords, they put it on autopilot. They pay a company $500 a month to run their AdWords and maybe have a $300 budget. It's like, I probably spent $300 right now already this today. Already. Yeah. And so this is where it comes to knowing your numbers. I mean, just literally, if you think about it, how much would you pay literally to create your own customer? And then if you know your numbers, like my average, we just updated, I'm doing a new dashboard for masters. And I found out on Friday, we're even better than I thought. We're up $1 million for the year. Profits not there because we've got to spend all this money on this new product. On this, all my profits have gone into a new property. So I'm not making any more money, but I'm not making any less. But I'm up $1 million this year so far, and it's the 3rd week of August. Everything is going, and my average sales ticket now is over 5 grand, $5,022. Holy shit. And by the way, that's actually less. So it's actually probably higher than that because I have the actual number I divided it by was off. So I mean, I'm going to guess close to 51 to 5,200 average ticket. So now, what does that matter? If I know my average ticket, let's just keep it even 5 grand. I'm paying Hozio, let's say 3,500 to 5 grand a month. And I put my ad budget at, let's just say $2,000 a week. I know you're shitting your pants right now, buddy, but $2,000 a week. All right. And you're only showing up in the times you're actually there to answer a call. See, my ads are only on from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I don't go at night and I don't go weekends. And so, and I don't need it because I make enough appointments. So anyway, so I'm paying Hozio. Let's just make it even 4 grand. I got 2,000 a week for that. So that, by the way, I'm paying Hozio that a month. So I'm spending 8 grand a month in AdWords spend. Hozio's 4 grand. That's 12 grand a month. By the way, this is not my numbers. My numbers are way higher than this. But if I know, because Hozio set me up to convert and shows me my conversions, and I look, and on Monday alone, I convert 12 appointments. And my closing ratio, let's just say it's shitty at 35%. Okay? 35%. I did 12 times 35%. I sold 4, just to round down, 4 jobs today. I sold 4 jobs times 5,000, that's 20 grand. Now that's just today. So, I mean, if you took the 12,000 divided by 20, so my ad spend today is actually 20 divided by 12, $1,600, right? So $1,600 today to make 20 grand. Who would not do that?
It'd be crazy not to.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Nobody does.
It's like that thing, scared money makes no money.
Right.
If you're so scared and you're doing stuff, and I don't blame people. Listen, because I've started out where I was scratching nickels together, get my credit card going on debt to do it, but you got to believe in yourself. So if you believe in the company, like it's Google. So you got to believe in Google. They're a $1 trillion company. And then you got to believe in yourself that you'll be able to close the deals, even like you said, a 35%, ratio. If you have that, it goes through. Listen, I'll tell you something totally off topic or whatever. Man, every day I start my day out with my gratitudes, what I'm grateful for every single day, from my family to my house, to me being healthy, to all my employees, to guys like yourself, Chad. I swear to God, I'm thankful for all my clients, and I'm thankful for potential customers coming through. So when I'm starting my day, there's no way you could be in gratitude and misery or be in fear and gratitude at the same time. They don't live in the same universe. So what I try and do is I try and bring myself up. And even with my employees, I have my employees writing down, like I have this book. It seems pretty stupid, but I have this book every single day, and I have all my employees have it. It's the gratitude book. They write down exactly what they're grateful for, what they're going to do today, their goals they set out for themselves daily. So we know exactly, look, it's our lives. There's 2 kinds of people, because you deal with people just as much as me. There's people that will be like, the economy sucks. That's the reason I'm doing terrible. Oh, my wife is, she's a pain. That's why my relationship's horrible. Well, people just take onus of what they do, and they said, no, this is what I could do. This is what I know, that I'm greater than that. So it's, when I'm dealing with people, I got both of them. And you can't change the way somebody's thinking because they're set in their ways. I'm in my 50s. It's hard for me to get out of my own way sometimes. It's the same
You can't
thing.
change it. Hold on. That's why you hired me.
Yeah.
You've changed your ways just since you met me.
Listen, I'll tell you another plug, what you did for me. When we were charging, I was charging monthly. And then all of a sudden you have how many 5-week months? And all of a sudden, that 5th week month, me covering payroll, getting things going, I was struggling. You're like, just tell everyone you're switching. And then you would like, tell all your clients you're switching into weekly. And I'm like, Chad, you hate changing things because all of a sudden, if you change something, then somebody gets pissed off and then you lose the customer. I'm like, it's like, it was a hard pull for me. And you're like, Steve, do it. I'm telling you, do it. And I did. And you know what? I lost a couple of guys, but now everything's building up from there. So from when I was losing a couple of guys from under 100, I'm close to 500 now. What the hell's the difference? Now it's running like a machine. But you got to get that fear out of your way and be like, look, I know I do good work. I know I help people out. Like, and look, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. I don't have the ability like that crap, but I do help companies, and I can name hundreds of them, and I can show you hundreds that do it, including yourself. And it's a good feeling. I make money and I make my clients money. That's the win-win. The problem is when you start with an SEO company, or anybody starting with me, it's not a win-win because they got to have, I'm selling snake potion. Yep. This is the best snake potion. You got to believe me. People don't believe, you know what I'm saying? So they got to have that little bit of a belief. Then once they get that belief and I get them ranking, then it both works out. But until then, it's just, you got to work together.
Well, as much as when I think what we've helped with your company too, I mean, you're not just an SEO company, you're a people company. I mean, when I was having crazy anxieties, and all this shit, who did I call? You were one of the people I called.
Yeah.
Right? You got in your little Zen thing of how you pray, not pray, or we'll pray too, and meditate in the morning. And we've counseled each other, and I've counseled you too. But I mean, I'm telling you, when you're building your network to build your business, wouldn't it be great? And I have this, and he's on my podcast today. I have a friend, and I feel confident. One of my close best friends, I've never even shook his hand. We become close enough that I could hug him when I saw him, and it would be like we've known each other since we were kids. And he's on my side. He's in my. I don't use this word a lot, but he's in my tribe. He's in my business portfolio of who. If I called up and said, well, I kind of did back in June, said, I'm fucked, Steve. I need to lower my budget. And Steve's like, okay, no problem. And blah, blah, blah. And then Steve, not even like a week or two later, he goes, I'm fucked, blah, blah, blah. And we talked it out and we got it to, and all of a sudden, what we did was, and this is where we were going with this, is as you're building your tribe and everything else, everybody needs to learn one thing. Be in your own bubble. All the noise and bullshit going on in the world really, really shouldn't affect you as much as if you know how to play the game in your category, right? And so, like for Steve, he's slightly preparing for a little bit of a recession to start telling people and showing people what they're doing. What is the chimney business and world doing? Service world doing? I mean, you got to start preparing for if shit happens. Now, here's the funny thing. I was just reading something this weekend about the recession, and they keep talking about, is there going to be a recession? It's like the recessions has been here for this whole year. Well, really? What's going to get worse? Okay, so now people aren't going to be going to buy more houses at inflated rates. That's bad. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. Okay, real estate agents get pissed off because now the market's just gone, and switched. But who gives a shit? I mean, that has nothing to do with people needing my services or ranking. And if anything else, if the recession comes on, the last thing you should do is cancel your advertising. It's the stupidest thing you could do. It really is. You can smartly work it and change it a little bit. So like with Steve, I didn't cancel him. We just reworked how I was being charged and everything else and what we wanted to work on so that it would be more effective when I was slower. That's it. That's what we did. And we had a conversation about it, and Steve did it. Now, he was getting calls, right? You're getting calls. You had that 1 week or month that you took a hit.
Oh my God. It felt like the world was falling in, it's like, because people get with the way, and I agree, we are in a recession. You're paying more for gas, you're paying more for food, you're paying more for anything you do right now, you're paying more for. So we're in a recession. Can it get worse? I'm not as optimistic as you. I think it can get worse from here. But that goes back to the two kinds of people. Are you going to blame the recession while your business is going to suck? Or are you going to say, look, both of us have the same mindset. I have my foot on the gas. I'm flooring it. Like literally, we're adding a good 10 to 20 customers every single week because I know if I end up losing half my customers right now, God forbid, but I lost half my customers, I'm still better off where I was January 1st of this year. So you got to really plan for it. You listen, you're planning for failure, you're planning for success. So by cutting your advertising budget, and listen, certain people, they have to do what they got to do, but you're really cutting your nose to spite your face, because your advertising budget is going to get you new customers. Now, going to this whole recession part, like I have a guy here. It's in New York. He sells his Four Season sunrooms. They sell sunrooms. Each sunroom, like average price is like $150,000. Guy's killing it. But he said, what I'm not selling is like the pergola, where it was like a $2,000 or $3,000, item that he was selling. He's like, it dried up. The rich people aren't affected. They're not affected by this. They don't care about the extra gas or what it's costing them. It's a couple of cents for them. The average guy that was throwing money into their house just because they had extra money, that dried up a little bit. But it doesn't mean it's going to dry up forever. It just means right now it dried up. So if you stop doing things 3 months, 6 months, things turn around and you stop doing it, you're never going to take advantage of that. So you got to feel comfortable with knowing what your finances are. You don't want to ever put yourself into real debt, but you also got to feel confident in yourself. If you don't believe that you could sell and do these things, you probably should be working for somebody. You shouldn't own your own business. Honestly, it's like this is like a quick thing. Like I see Michael Jordan, like watch on Facebook and stuff. And Michael Jordan was on there. I think it was game 6. There was like 17 seconds left. He wanted the ball. He didn't want to give the ball. He wanted the ball because he knew what he could do. The recession's coming. Things are happening. You guys should want the ball. You should be able to try and figure out, like, I want it because I know I can control my destiny. Or maybe you shouldn't be doing this kind of line of work. It's one of those things.
I think with businesses, if you're in the type of business that is, let's just go back to COVID a little bit, essential. If you're one of those essential type businesses, and I say this, that service business, marketing company, I don't care what you are. The one thing that I think most of the successful larger companies start getting, and you're getting this as you well know as too, is when things are bad is when you put the gas on and up your budgets, not cut them. Okay, so here's the difference. Like, let's just go back to the chimney businesses. That's where I grew up in. So I hear a lot of people talk about in 2008 and 9 that their business sucked and almost tanked. The larger company. Well, I didn't. I back then is when, before AdWords was really starting to do a lot more algorithms, and it was a lot easier to run an AdWords account back in 2008.
Yeah.
I just cranked mine up. I mean, literally. I mean, I had an okay SEO presence. I was definitely in the maps in Dallas. I was, but I just literally, I mean, even back then when I was probably only a $2.5 million company, I just literally put on $5,000 a week back then, which was unheard of. 5,000 a week 15 years ago on $1,000 a day is crazy. Is insane. And guess what? If someone was looking for chimneys, they saw me. So I needed to gobble up anybody looking for a chimney job. There's 50 other chimney companies in Dallas. Probably 20 of them are halfway relevant. 10 of them are very relevant. And they're all spending $200 or $300 on, and they're gone by 10 o'clock. Right? They've been clicked out by 10, 11 o'clock. Well, no, I'm putting $1,000 a day on this shit. I need clients. And so that's what I would do. And I mean, our prices were pretty cheap at the time. We did work a lot more clients, and I didn't actually have a down year when it came to my tax returns. But tax returns don't tell you how many clients you serviced. We probably serviced another 20% more clients back then for just slightly more money than the year before. But I didn't go down. And I see all these other people talk about how they got crushed. It's like, well, hell, I just tripled my budget on AdWords. And that's literally how I went through the big recession last time. I just went crazy for it on advertising. And so, but yeah, you gotta, but back to, if you're hiring a thing, and then we have Steve on here. I mean, really, literally, you got to know what questions to ask. First thing he said, which everyone who works with me and has heard me say this on the podcast, you got to own your own assets. You got to own your own WordPress, if that's what it is, site. You need to be able to hire and fire and kick people out of the development of your site. You need to own your own AdWords account, not have someone else do it for you. You know, now if I was coaching a marketing agency, I tell them, well, you should own it. But then again, it doesn't really matter if you do a good job, right? I mean, if you do a good job, it doesn't matter who owns it, which is why you don't care, if they own it or you own it, because you're going to do the right thing. But if they were to quit you, say, here it is. You know,
a lot of places, what they do, they only give you their own reporting software. They don't even give you access to the Google account,
right.
and you don't even know what they're paying per click. You don't know if they're marking you up or. So that's why it's like a pane glass window. Like you could see what I'm doing. People, like you say, you feel comfortable. I just charge a management fee at the end of the month. You pay Google, all your money goes to Google. That $1,000 a day is going to Google. At the end of the month, you're just paying me a management fee to manage over it for you. I know, and like you know this, Chad, I treat people the way I want to be treated. So if I do things in that philosophy, saying like, well, how the hell would I feel comfortable? How would I give this up? Because a lot of stuff I don't know. You know, but I have to give it up sometimes to people that have more knowledge. But the only way it's like you don't want to have blind faith. You want to be able to at least say, okay, it's an educated decision. And it might not be the best decision, but at least it's an educated decision, and you could gauge it that way.
Well, most of us, we're not in the business of marketing SEO. So I find, here's what I find with a lot of entrepreneurs out there is their friend, another competitor friend, somebody that they know, a relative, says, hey, this guy does a good job for me. Yeah. It's like, no, they don't. When you look into it, it's like, no, they don't. They don't at all. It's like you go to look at them on Google, it's like they're nowhere. It's like, what? Or here's this is one that actually happened to me last month. This guy was referred to this SEO company because his buddy, they did a great job for him and still do. Well, he's in a fucking small market where there's like no competition. I could literally do one blog on chimney sweep, blah, and have it ranking in 3 weeks, number one, because there's nobody there doing it, right? And that's what this guy did. So his buddy is in a major city. And so he hires this other company who probably wrote 5 blogs, optimized the site a little bit in bum heck nowhere, and he's number one. And his next best competitor is Angie's List, because there is no actual company around him. And then his buddy, who's got major players in his market, hires this guy. This SEO company has no clue what they're doing. And as a business coach, I have to be the bearer of bad news and go, these people aren't doing anything for you. You're paying them, I think he's paying them $2,800 a month. I said, what do you get for $2,800 a month? So he sends me the email, pulls it up, sends me the email from like a year and a half ago, what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, this is a different one company that I was talking about just last week I was dealing with. I'm like, okay, where is it says they'll write posts. Okay, posts for what? I mean, social media, Google, I don't know, posts for what? He goes, I don't know. I go, well, let's look. Do you have, we go to his social media, no post. We go to his GMB listing, no post. Go to see if there's a blog you activated on his website. No. I'm like, okay, well, you have no posts. So you've been paying a year and a half for no posts. And we just go down the line. I'm just like, I have to sit there and it's like, I'm trying to help them. And they're looking at me like I'm the bad guy. It's like, I'm not the bad guy. I'm on your side here. I'm trying to get you to the point where you control and own your destiny. And you don't when you have someone else doing it. And then the worst, it's like this. If you hired an employee and you train them and then you never fucking talk to them for a year, what did they do for you if you never looked? You don't know. You have no idea, right? You know, and that's the same thing with when you hire someone like Hozio, you're not really you're like a subcontractor for me. You are. You're doing the work I can't do on my business. And believe it or not, Guys, everyone listening, here's what you have to realize. Your marketing is literally one of the most important things in your business. And you have dropped the ball. I'm telling you. You want to, and I'm not even talking about if you want to scale your business. If you want to have as much work that you'll ever have, do two things. Number one, treat the customers you already have better to make them more valuable. And number two, to go get new customers, get your marketing right. And so that's what I strongly suggest you do. Because when you do that, you're getting your bang for your buck out of your marketing. And guess what? You'll never have to look at it again. And so here we go. Shameless plug. Hozio, I hired Hozio 2 years ago. My ranking's done nothing but get better. They're going to call you. They're going to ask you. They're going to tell you to do some shit you don't want to do too. They need pictures. You know, they're going to make you work a little bit of the stuff you need to do. I mean, so because I will tell you right now, if you don't give them good digital pictures, they're just going to buy crappy pictures and I don't mean crappy, good digital pictures, but they're not your work. So they're going to be crappy pictures.
Yeah, and
stock crap pictures.
Yeah, people know the difference. You know, when they're looking at the post, they know the difference.
Totally, 100%. And so, you know, really, literally, I hear this all the time. How much should I spend on marketing? My percentages on my P&L. What should I spend? I don't know. You have to figure that out. Like if I were to ask a $10 million company what their percentage is, that's crazy. Smaller companies' percentage, depending on your market, could be half or it could be double. It depends on where you're at, what you need to do. You know, if you own the GPAC and you're in, let's say you're in Indianapolis. I'm just going to use this city. You're in Indianapolis and you're A in like 10 keywords for whatever business you're in. Okay, I probably wouldn't spend a ton of money on AdWords. I would still do it to get relevancy, you know, but I don't really need to have a huge SEO budget if I'm owning that, but I would still do it to get myself ranking up. Now, if I'm in Indianapolis and I'm coming into the market and I'm not in any of that, I crush AdWords, I get on the GMB and I pay big time for SEO, right? Because I want to go up through the ranks because the GMB pack is a crapshoot. I mean, it really is. They filter them through, and I know you can get people on it and if you do the right stuff. But if you're in a big market and you got 10 people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing on that, you're not gonna own it.
See, the cool thing is look, I have different teams with every guys that I have they're all really experts in the field. I don't need a master of all. So if you type in SEO company NYC, this is the most competitive keyword, SEO company, because we all want to do it. So we're fighting for it. But if you type it in right now, you'll see I'm #1 on the map pack, and I'm in Long Island. So we figured out ways that we could geotag and get people showing up with their post. It works. Sometimes it's a little more competitive and it's harder to get somebody to show than, like you said, somebody in Indianapolis going for some BS keyword. But we're able to.
You're #2, but they're only showing 2. But you're there.
Okay.
That's a badass keyword to be even being shown on too. Yep.
And look, the one thing I would not disagree on, but a little bit disagree. Like if somebody's business, they only have 2 trucks. They only need to scale their budget because the last thing, look, I spent a ton of money this week on leads. If I can't call these leads, that's just a waste of money for me. It makes me feel horrible inside, like my stomach is going. You want to make sure that you could perform with the leads that you have and you can service those customers. If you can't, you can scale your budget. And that's what's cool about Google, especially the AdWords part. All of a sudden you get slow, freaking turn it on. Like you turn on that light switch. It's the same thing. You know your ads. I turn on that light switch. It's the same thing like on your Google account. You expect those lights to go on. If they don't, there's a problem. So you could really scale the business as much as possible. Chad, I'm going to have to jump because I have a meeting coming up in like 10 minutes. I appreciate you having me on here, man. You know, it means a lot. And listen, you're great. If I could ever do anything for you, I feel mutual about you. You know what I'm saying? We haven't met. If I seen you, I would definitely hug you. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you're a good dude. And, you know, I appreciate everything you've done for my company. Even my employees, the way you reach out and you talk, like I'm having situations with certain employees, how I'm like, I'm not getting through to them. And then you go there and you give them a different advantage point and you let them figure it out. You've been a huge part of my success. And I really do appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, everybody, that is the great Steve Orandello from Hozio. All right. See you later.
All right.
Steve. Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So I'm going to keep going a little bit on expanding what Steve said. Is you can hop off, Steve.
Okay.
Is knowing so he was saying he disagreed a little bit, and I think let me clarify what I was trying to say, just to make sure. Yes, you can turn AdWords up and down. You can, and with AdWords, what's nice, that is the greatest thing about it. You can go up and down. You can't go really up and down on what you're doing on SEO. You're going to be into a budget, not necessarily a contract, but essentially you're going to be spending whatever amount you're going to pay your SEO company a month, and you really shouldn't be altering that. But you can absolutely alter your budget, and I suggest you do it big time on AdWords. And so that's why you should own it, and you should be in it, and you should be able to up and down it as much as you want, and that's your deal. So, like, for instance, if you know it's going to rain next week, big time, go to your chimney water leak keywords and up that, and lower down maybe your brick fix it stuff or your chimney sweep stuff, because people are going to be clicking the chimney is leaking. So, I mean, go ahead and you can do that. And I'm telling you, it's so easy. You do not need to go through a Google thing to be able to do that. So anyway, so that is our show today. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring Steve on here. He's a great friend and a client, and everybody needs marketing. If you want to contact Steve at Hozio, it's just simply hozio.com. Call up. You'll talk to Steve or John, and they'll get you on a program to get in your business to really start doing what you want it to perform like, and you don't have to worry about it. It will be on, I would say, autopilot. But if you're on AdWords, you don't want it on autopilot, but you want your SEO to be on autopilot so that you are starting to get all that. So, guys, that's my time. And so, if you are interested in working with me, go ahead and message me on Facebook on Messenger, or you can call or text me at 972-877-3585, or again, just go to outsidethebusinessbox.com and you can set up a Calendly event with me to be coached for one free session, and we'll chit chat about your business and see what I can do for you. Okay, that's my time.